time. It's something that we need more of in this world. And in Spanish, we're going to call that la hora. And so if you're asked the question, what time is it? That would look like, ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? All right, and three that we could look at and say is, it's midnight, it's noon, and it's 1. And for that, we would say, es medianoche. So you and your buddies have been studying Spanish all night, and you're ready for a break before you go on for round 2 for your big test tomorrow, and you say, ¿Qué hora es? Midnight? Oh, es medianoche. Noon? Es mediodía. Or 1. Now this could be 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon, or 1 at night, and so for that we say es la una. And we'll get back to tell if that's in the afternoon or in the evening in just a second. For everything else, when we're answering the question, ¿Qué hora es? And we want to say something like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 2 o'clock, we will say son las, and then put in our time there. So to say 10 o'clock, we will say son las 10. 11, son las 11. Son las 2. So if we wanted to say 10 in the morning, we would add de la mañana. "11 at night, de la noche." Or in the afternoon, de la tarde. Morning, night, afternoon. Well, let's say that maybe instead of being 10 o'clock, it's 10:20. And instead of 3 o'clock, it could be 3:15. And instead of 1 o'clock, let's make it 1:30. And to do that, we will just say and. So we will say son las 10:20. And you can add de la mañana or de la noche if you'd like. 3:15. And 1:30. 1:30. Well, let's look at two of these more carefully. So we have 3:15 and 1:30. Well, what's another way to say 3:15? We can say a quarter, right? Like a quarter past 3. And that would be son las 3:15. So 3 and a quarter. And instead of saying just 1:30, we could say that it's a half past 3, which would be es la 1:30. Both are acceptable and both work. It's whatever you feel most comfortable using. So that's how we use e or an. But what if we had a time like 10:50? Well, we have two options here. We could say son las 10:50. It is 10:50. Or the other option is we can say it's 11 minus 10. And to use that, let me put that over here so we have a little bit of room. We're going to use the word menos. Now there are lots of ways to tell time. I'm just giving you two, and so if you're talking to some other people, they might say it just a little bit differently. But to say 10:50 we could say it's 11 minus 10 minutes. So son las 11 menos or minus 10. What if we had 10:45? Well, that would again, it would be 11 son las 11 menos 15. Or we remember we could say a quarter. So we could say son las 11 menos cuarto. Whatever works best for you and whatever you're most comfortable using. We've looked at our first question, ¿Qué hora es?, which means what time is it? But the second question, and probably the question that's a little bit more helpful, is at what time? So we could say or what time is the concert at? And that question looks like, and the main difference here is we're going to put an a. So ¿Qué hora es? That's what we had before, but now we're putting at. So at what time es? And in our response, since we added an a to the question, we have to add that a to our response. And so we would say the concert is a las, and let's make it also at 10:30. So we have two questions. The one is to ask, what time is it? Son las 10:30. At what time, we're going to add an a, and then we will add that a in our response. So when telling time in Spanish, there's really two questions you need to know. ¿Qué hora es? And ¿a qué hora? With those two, you'll be right on time every time. Go out and try a few on your own. Start asking people what time it is. Even if you have a watch, ask them to practice. Have some fun with it. Let me know how it goes. Suerte.